In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Salaam Alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam wa rasulullah wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon his last and final messenger, family, friends, foes, haters, and hateettes. Welcome back to the Feachaz. I greet you all in peace and love with no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, before we begin, please like, please subscribe, and please share. As you know, we got a hell of a lot of haters up in here. And excuse the dusty look. I did not do my hair today. Right? So you got to excuse the dustiness. But believe me when I tell you, y'all are in for the ride of your life. If you haven't heard of Dr. Khalid Muhammad before, just hold on to your seatbelts. I promise you ain't heard anything like this before. You're probably not going to hear anything like this again. Okay? This Donahue interview in 1994, I watched it when it actually came out. Okay, I think it was like maybe 18 or 19 at the time. I can't remember, but I was like a teen. I actually watched it on Donahue, right? And it is one of the most epic Donahue episodes. It's my personal favorite episode in Donahue. After the episode happened, because I didn't record it at the time, those days were using like VCRs and stuff. I didn't record it, but I just, beg people for recording stuff. And I must have seen this interview at least 50, 60 times, man. Right. But I was reminded recently about this particular interview on Donahue. So those of y'all who don't know who Dr. Khalid Muhammad is, he was Minister Louis Farrakhan's right-hand man. Okay. He was also featured on hip hop albums, and he's most famous for his introduction on a Public Enemy album, something that he said there, right? And he was assassinated, right? And he died from poisoning from the powers that shouldn't be, okay? Those folks. And this interview, actually, when this interview happened in 1994, it actually sent shockwaves through the Black community, particularly. It was something that was talked about all the time, this particular interview. But the reason why I wanted to go into this, because of the relevance of this interview in modern times, right? Those of y'all who know, you know. Those of y'all who were back in those days and you saw the interview, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, this thing was epic, was absolutely epic, and it was talked about for months and months. And you can even say it was returned back to, you know what I mean? It was an absolutely epic interview. Right, but it is absolutely not for the faint of heart or the weak-hearted, for sure. So if you are weak-hearted, if you are faint-hearted, go watch something else. Go watch one of your YouTubian that elites and let your let the bunnies and the rainbows in your mind, basically run rampant, because it ain't that type of interview. Trust me, it is not that type of interview. Okay, so without further ado, let's get this all queued up. 1 second, y'all. Let us get into this, okay? Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. Let's do this.
Thank you. How are you? How are you? This is Khalid Muhammad, former national representative of Minister Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of.
Okay, so just let me know how the volume is. Let me just put this on. Should I put this on fast speed? Maybe normal speed might be better. Let's do it on normal speed. Okay. Let me know how the volume is. Press number 1 if the volume's okay. Press number 2 if you need more.
Islam. Mr. Muhammad is the man who made so many of the front pages of America's newspapers with a speech at Kane College, which so many people called anti-Semitic and a lot of things. At the very least, racist. You remember the comment? He picked up the Pope's dress, and let's see what's under that dress. Here's what you said about Colin Ferguson, the man who shot a Jamaican black male who shot 6 people on the Long Island train. Mr. Muhammad speaks.
Where they set black inmates up in these jails and penitentiaries, and in particular there in Nassau County, and pulled all the black officers out and the black inmates so they could jump on Brother Colin Ferguson, because they were mad with him for catching the Long Island train and killing all them white folks. I love Colin Ferguson. I have no official position, so I can say I love him.
You love a man who randomly killed 6 people on a commuter train?
Okay, so for those of y'all who don't know this story, this Colin Ferguson individual, he hopped on a train and he just said he's going to kill a bunch of white people. This happened, I think it's in New York or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, right? And this particular event actually sparked the conversation of a medical condition, because it was mentioned in his trial, actually, called Black Rage syndrome. But anyways, throughout this interview, you're going to see Phil Donahue trying to do stuff like this, right? You already seen Khalid Muhammad saying that he loves Colin Ferguson, the man who went and killed 6 white people, right? And of course, in Islam, we don't believe in that. We don't believe in just randomly killing folks, right? So he's always trying to do this gotcha moment with Dr. Khalid Muhammad, which is why this interview is epic. So listen to how Dr. Khalid Muhammad, how he answered this.
I love Colin Ferguson just as much as the masses of white Americans love General Schwarzkopf, General Westmoreland, General Patton, General MacArthur, and Eisenhower.
Did y'all hear that? How he answered that? Did y'all hear how he answered that? And this is what we say over here. Do not let the enemy ever put you on a back foot or on a back pedal. They have no moral high ground at all. Remind them of their own history when they try to take you to some moral high ground argument. Let's keep watching, y'all.
America awards her killers, and they get ribbons and stripes and bars. I'm sensitive to the pain and suffering of the loss of life on that train, but I'm one of the rebellious slaves. And so when black people stand up out of pain and suffering and frustration, I understand after 500 years.
You also, you talk about the response of some African Americans to, for example, the book which attempts to prove that the Jews are involved in the slave trade. I'd be happy to let them see that.
Yeah, it's the Secret Relationship with Blacks and Jews. I have that exact book. That book was banned. I got it at the time it came out, right? And now it's all like falling apart and everything like that. I've been trying to get the newest editions, but it's like near impossible to get it. So if y'all know anybody where I can get the newest editions of The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, let a brother know. Okay? Let's keep going, y'all.
You talk about when white folks can't defeat you, you said in your speech at Kane, they'll always find some Negro, some boot-licking, butt-licking, buck-dancing, bamboozle, half-baked, half-fried, sissified, punkified, pasteurized, homogenized nigger that they can trot out in front of you.
All right, let's keep going, y'all, man. He actually said that. If you're in the live one, it's way better. But the way that Donahue does it, man. Anyways, keep going.
I would ask you, Mr. Muhammad, is Jesse Jackson a boot-licking, homogenized nigger?
To the best of his ability, I believe he tries every...
And you're gonna see this throughout the interview. He always tries to get him in these moments, right? And the lesson we can learn here is just to stand your ground. They have no moral ground, right? And never, ever, ever stand up, and defend the sellouts and the coons on behalf of the enemy. You don't do that.
Here you are mocking Jesse Jackson at a speech. I believe this is Howard University. Roll the tape.
Oh, boot-licking, buck-dancing, scratching, shuffling, messy Jesse Jackson. You keep. I am a somebody. I am a somebody. Keep hope alive. I am a somebody. I don't rightly know who the hell I am, but I am somebody.
Yeah. Are you an entertainer, or are you a committed person to black people?
I'm so glad you asked that question. I believe that the liberation and salvation of the black nation must be brought about by black people gaining a thorough knowledge of self after our 500 to 6,000 year Holocaust, where we have lost over 600 million. And so I believe that that education process must be a process of two steps: inspiration and information. So I seriously give information, but black people are a people of rhythm and spirit, so I also give inspiration.
From your speech at Kane College in 1960, Chief Luthuli, the head of the ANC, received a Nobel Peace Prize, you reported to your audience, reminded them, for nonviolent struggle. Yes. Just like Mandela just received it with F.W. de Klerk. How could you stand with your oppressor and your enemy and receive the Nobel Prize for non?
This is the part I really wanted to show, this part right here. This is why I really wanted to do this live, because this part right here is so relevant to what we are going through today, right? What we're seeing in Palestine and Africa as black folk. And this, mind you, this interview was done in 1994, right? And it is like you can apply these principles to pretty much any, you don't have to say Jesse Jackson. You can say Jesse Lee Peterson, for example. You get me? It is so relevant today. So this is the part I want y'all to pay attention to. So let's watch it, y'all.
Nonviolent struggle. You have, you do not support then Nelson Mandela's strategy in the struggle to free black people in South Africa?
Let us first of all be very clear here, Phil. Nelson Mandela is my brother.
So is
He is a
Jesse
member
Jackson.
of the family, and so is Jesse, and Jesse is a very brilliant man. We just want him to return home and stop being used by the enemy and the oppressor against his people. Now back to Brother Nelson Mandela. And certainly we can never mention Nelson without mentioning Winnie Mandela. But Nelson Mandela's attempt at a multiracial government in South Africa after the murder of men, women, children, and babies, and the rape of South Africa, a criminal settler colony that has been established like Israel there in that part of the world. I cannot go along with one man, one vote. Let me say why. If someone broke into your home, Mr. Donahue, and actually bum-rushed your home, and Black Boot stomped your door down, and came in and robbed and raped everyone in the household, and was able to take the wealth of your home and parlay it into an empire. This is an invader. This is an intruder. This is a murderer. This is a burglar. This is a criminal. So you have no responsibility to share your home with them after they broke in and committed the crimes that they did.
You want...
Is not this all relevant to what we are seeing today, particularly in Palestine? This is 1994. He said this in 1994, and he did not bat an eyelash. He did not flinch. If you have the moral high ground, why do you need to flinch? Don't let these devils dictate to you how you should speak and how you should move. Y'all hearing me? Let's keep watching, y'all. That was an incredible answer. That's what I really wanted to see. Okay, but anyways, let's keep going, y'all.
You said about South Africa, we give him, that is to say, white people, 24 hours to get out of town by sundown. That's all. If he won't get out of town by sundown, we'll kill every white that ain't right that's in sight in South Africa. We kill the women, we kill the children, we kill the babies, we kill the blind, we kill the cripple, we kill them all. We kill the faggot, we kill the lesbian, we kill them all. You say, why kill the babies in South Africa? Because they're going to grow up and oppress our babies, so we kill the babies. Are you seriously presenting yourself as a man interested in the future of your people with this kind of rhetoric?
I'm just...
So again, this is what Donahue he does, right? He's always trying to get him in these shock moments. Now, of course, we as Muslims, we don't believe in killing innocent folks, right? But watch how Dr. Khalid Muhammad, how he answered this.
As interested in the freedom of my people as I am in the self-determination or the Kujichagulia, self-development, them being self-defining, self-respecting, and self-defending. If the white man has killed millions of our people, and you cannot deny the undeniable and indisputable and irrefutable truth, fact, proof, and history of their bloodshed there in South Africa. I said it would be merciful if they would leave. I don't agree with a government, a sham government. No man walks out of prison after 27 years and becomes the president unless there's a script and a plan behind the scenes to...
Emotional damage.
We got to rewind that again, okay? In case y'all missed it, listen to what he's saying. He's talking about Nelson Mandela becoming president in South Africa, right? Watch this, y'all.
After 27 years and becomes the president unless there's a government. No man walks out of prison after 27 years and becomes the president unless there's a script and a plan behind the scenes to remove the economic sanctions from whites in South Africa, but no real plan for redistribution of the wealth. The Oppenheimers, the De Beers, and others there sucking the blood of our people. So I said, be merciful. Give them a period of time.
24 hours.
Truman gave the Japanese a period of time, but when they didn't comply, he dropped the bomb on men, women, children, and babies.
It's so interesting how the white supremacists can inflict with impunity the most corruption on earth, genocide, mass murder, you name it, massacres. Look, like the televised genocide that's happening right now in Palestine, but still want to turn around and point the finger at you while he's committing the murders, talking about why are you talking about killing the children?
Stop the cap.
These folks are liars, man. These folks are liars. So now the whole world gets to see the white supremacists in action, right? This is 1994. This is before social media. Now we see with our own eyes what your moral high ground looks like. And the moral high ground of the white supremacists ain't nothing but an anthill. That's how high you're gonna get up. Just keep watching, yo.
I make no apology for that statement. I believe that the invasion of South Africa was an act of unprovoked war. One nation against another nation. And nations must fight for the self-determination. They had no business there, Mr. Donahue.
Yes. Would you like to see Aristide return to Haiti to his rightful, duly elected position as president?
From what I have learned and studied of President Aristide, from what I can see and those I've been privileged to talk to who are close to him, he appears to be a very sincere man. He appears to be a man who really loves our people there and wants to see our people breathe free and correct the problems that colonialism and other disruptions is very definitely at the root of. However, Phil, I do not want to see my beloved brother, President Aristide, returned to Haiti by the power of a Bill Clinton. Because if Bill Clinton can help to return him there, he will always attempt to be the puppeteer who will pull the strings and try to dictate to my brother how he should carry out the affairs of government there.
Now, he's talking about former President Aristide, who was, again, toppled in a coup. What's going on in Haiti today? You see how history is just repeating itself? You see how history is just repeating itself? Everything that he's saying back in 1994 is, if he said it in 2023, it would be like, yeah, we know exactly what he's talking about. This is why interviews like this are so important, so that folks can learn from their history. He's talking about Haiti in 1994. In 2023, what is going on in Haiti today? Way back in President Clinton time. Let's keep going, y'all.
Your comments appear to bespeak a position, a political position, in which you have no interest at all in reaching out and hoping and working for a multiracial community of harmony and peace. Am I correct in saying you have forsaken that ideal?
My arms are tired, Phil. We've reached out for 500 years.
Too late now.
We've faced tanks. We faced water hoses and cattle prods. Vicious dogs bit the breast of black women off in those protest marches of the civil rights movement. Vicious four-legged dogs sicked on us by two-legged dogs, bit into the groin and the private parts of black men, women, and children. So, Mr. Donahue, I believe that the white man is absolutely disagreeable to live with in peace, and that no one has been able to get along with him nowhere on the face 196,940,000 square miles of the planet Earth.
Oh my God.
Sister, Sister Aisada, she made a very important comment here. We refuse to admit we have enemies. Can you imagine? This is exactly how black folks move. Everybody on earth know who their enemies are. If you ask the Chinese, they're going to tell you who their enemies are. If you ask the Japanese, they're going to tell you who their enemies are. You ask the Russians, they know very well who their enemies are. You ask the Saudis, they know. You ask the Jews, they know. You ask the Palestinians, they know. You ask the white supremacists, they know. You ask the Negro ain't got no enemies. He got no enemies. How is it that after almost 400 solid years and the audacity of Phil Donahue to ask this question? I mean, it's just audacious. It's very audacious. Let's go back to the question. Look.
Am I correct in saying out and political position in which you have no interest at all in reaching out and hoping and working for a multiracial community of harmony and peace? Am I correct in saying you have forsaken that ideal?
Can you imagine the audacity? Can you imagine the audacity of this question? Like, how do you reach this point? Do you not see what's going on in you were there in 1994, okay? You are asking the oppressed people to go and reach out to the oppressor to try and live with the oppressor. Like, that ain't been done before. And the way he positions it, because, it's like all these white folks are just rushing and itching to do right by black folk. They are just trampling over each other to end, mass incarceration, to end, the drugs in the community, to end the hip hop, agenda. They are just tripping over themselves to do all this chaos they caused with their own hands in the black community. But we have to reach out to the ones who are making the chaos to do what? Because we haven't, as he said, let him answer. His answer is way better than mine. It's way better than what I can say it.
My arms are tired, Phil. We've reached out for 500 years.
Too late now.
We've faced tanks. We faced water hoses and cattle prods. Vicious dogs bit the breast of black women off in those protest marches of the civil rights movement. Vicious four-legged dogs sicked on us by two-legged dogs, bit into the groin and the private parts of black men, women, and children. So, Mr. Donahue, I believe that the white man is absolutely disagreeable to live with in peace, and that no one has been able to get along with him nowhere on the face 196,940,000 square miles of the planet Earth.
And so you will continue this rhetoric. You will continue using...
action.
And action. Action. What kind of action? Strategy to affect what in the United States of America? Let's start with us.
No wise general sits with a representative of the opposition to discuss battle strategy and battle plans before the entire world. I don't think that would be wise. But the mission of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the mission of my spiritual father, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, whom I love very much, and I want to be in that number when he takes 1 million black men to Washington, D.C. to call for reparations and justice. Their work is a work of liberation and salvation. Their work is a work to raise the mentally and spiritually dead black man and woman after we have been robbed of our names, our language, our religion, our culture, our God, our folkways, mores, and robbed of a power, the power of our own being.
Lift up.
So the brother Charles Irby, he makes another, this is another amazing comment. Israel modeled their apartheid state after Jim Crow. United States, and the same is applicable to South Africa. Exactly. Exactly. These are the people who, and it's a copy-paste model, mind you. It's just a copy-paste model. They take the same model, they just implant it, some other place somewhere. So they did it in South Africa, they did it in Zimbabwe, they did it in even Indonesia. They did it in of course, Palestine. The only difference now is that the white supremacists in Palestine, they're not willing to end apartheid. And it's being televised because they want a European country in the Middle East. But it was done against black folks first. And yet still, and this is why black folk really, the importance of knowing your history and walking with pride and self-respect and walking with dignity that has given to you by Allah himself. Freedom is something that no human being has the right to take away from you. And any human being that is doing that deserves to be fought. They deserve to be taken off the planet permanently. They've earned that right because it's not their right to take your freedom away from you, unless from what has been revealed from the Quran and Sunnah. That's it. They want you to keep begging them, for freedom. They want you to be in that perpetual state, always asking for freedom, always asking for civil rights, always asking for, to get along and integration, all that kind of stuff. What if we don't ask? What if we just take it? They were willing to take it. So don't let these folks fool you. Don't let anybody come around and tell y'all that you need to have this society hand in hand with your natural enemy while your enemy continues to hate and murder and lynch and usurp your resources. What kind of intelligence is that? They only have this type of speech for black folk, mind you. Only black folk get talked to like this. And Donahue is still trying to catch him, and this is why this is one of my favorite interviews, because Donahue, he does this, right? He tries to catch his guest in like these gotcha moments, but Khalid Muhammad, he just flipped the script on him in an epic manner. Anyways, let's keep watching, y'all.
Up the Pope's skirt to see what's under there? This is high school stuff. Words like faggot. It's an immature sort of failure to really get out of the old Beavis butthead kind of environment. Certainly you can't be proud of this kind of language that you use.
Well, if it is high school, then the Bible, listen for a second, the Bible speaks of lifting up the skirts of the garment. Oh, I'm surprised that you feel. It's a metaphor. It's symbolic language. I'm not at all interested in what is under the Pope's clothes. I'm not into that. It's a metaphor.
Let's see what's under there.
But it is a metaphor to say, let us expose the Pope, according to H. Shelton Smith, President Emeritus of Duke University, in his book entitled In His Image, quote, the Catholic Church and the Pope were directly involved in the institution of slavery. They financed slavery and gave the okay that it was good business to sell Africans. Lift up the skirts of his garment so that we can see the shame and reveal what has been hidden. But it has nothing to do with sexuality whatsoever.
Well, what do you suspect has been hidden?
I believe that it has been
and why would we want to lift up his skirt to discover what it might be?
Well, we're saying...
1 second, y'all. Let me just get the second part. Let me cue it up. I was trying to find a good copy, right? So this is one of the better copies. Like, if it's very old, right? So most of the copies that the sound wasn't like really that good, right? So this one, the sound seems to be okay. Right, but you could tell it came from a VCR, obviously. So let's get this up here. Let's keep going, y'all.
The scripture says raising the skirts of the garment. I'll say it once more for you, and only once more. Has to do with revealing the history, the hidden history. When you lift up someone's garments, then you show their shame. You show up their private parts, that which they normally hide from the rest of the world. I'm not dealing with organs under the garment. I'm dealing with the organ of slavery and those parts that have been kept private from the masses of the people.
We are in New York City with Khalid Muhammad, and we'll be back in just a moment. Here is just one of the comments that provoked the Anti-Defamation League to take out a full-page ad in the New York Times and other newspapers.
The Anti-Defamation League really spends a lot of money and time silencing black leaders, right? They out here really pretending to work against the white supremacists, but they don't really do much work against the white supremacists. Go look at their history. Go look at all the people they try to censor and silence. Try to get politicians to speak about. That's the ADL, right? They pretend to be protecting Jewish people. They're just protecting the Jewish people from hearing the truth from black folk. So let's keep going, y'all. Michael Ellington, he goes like this. He goes, college used that good shea butter. He was shining. He was shining. He was shining for sure. Let's keep going, y'all.
What the ADL did essentially was publish in the New York Times some of the things that you said. Here's a part, this is an audio tape of part of your speech to Kane College last November that created such furor. Khalid Muhammad speaking.
The hook-nosed, bagel-eating, lox-eating, imposter perpetrating a fraud, Johnny-come-lately, just crawled out of the caves and hills of Europe, wanna be you.
Not presuming you haven't been asked this before, but may I ask you kindly to speak to the loved ones of Schwerner and Goodman, who died with one of your brothers, Cheney, buried in a shallow grave in the South in the middle of the Civil Rights Movement because this black man was seen with two white Jews down there causing trouble, trying to promote the civil liberties of your people.
Bombastic side eye, criminal offensive side eye. Do you understand?
And this is one of another tactic of the enemy, man. They try to exonerate all of the wickedness they do. We're not talking about, actual, because we don't lump everybody in the same boat. We are talking about the white supremacists here, right? The white supremacists will try to exonerate all the wickedness that they do based upon the actions of one or two who fought for the black cause, right? Phil Donahue, he did this type of stuff, right? But listen to how Dr. called it, how he answered.
2 Jews found in a shallow grave. I happen to have met the mother of one of these very brave people. And when she sees this, we can only speculate what must go on in her heart. You would want to say what to her?
I don't have anything to say to her.
You've just condemned all Jews with that observation, with this alliterative kind of Jew bashing that so excites your largely male audiences.
Well, I wonder why. It means that I speak the truth. I speak to the pain and hurt of the masses of black people. I speak that which many of them wish they could say. That's why they cheer and applaud.
Speak to Mrs. Goodman,
and I speak that also,
speak to
which
Mrs.
many
Goodman.
of them only whisper behind closed doors. I think it is very arrogant to put this on the screen, and for you and for others to attempt to tell me, one of the Holocaust victims of the African Holocaust, displaced in the death and decadence of the diaspora of the Western world, after having been robbed and raped and murdered, to tell me how to hurt. These are strong words that you put on the screen. But you cannot tell the aggrieved and the victim. As I was talking to Brother Malik Zulu Shabazz, the young student warrior from Howard University, and we were going over this. And we said, how do they expect to tell we who have suffered so much how we should speak? When you're hurt, you'll say faggot, you'll say cracker, but you don't want to give me time to say where these terms came from and how they apply to your people here in America.
If it is true that I don't want to give you time to explain the etymology of these words, it is also true that you apparently don't want to respond to my question regarding the loved ones of 2 Jews who lost their lives to stop the diaspora of the black people.
I don't know.
Do you have any?
I don't know why they were there, and you don't know why they were there. But
Really?
I must say this.
So you're wondering whether they were there for your people?
I'm not wondering at all about them. I'm concerned with the suffering and the pain of the masses of black people. No one wants to pay reparations. The Jews received over $100 billion in reparations and gets $4 billion annually. A Holocaust museum was set up for them on this soil for over $200 million, and they get $21 million annually just for operating expenses. But the Catholic Church, the Pope, the Jews, the Arabs, white people in general, no one wants to pay reparations to these, the sons and daughters of Africa. So I speak to them. I don't speak. I speak to them. I don't speak to the family of those 2 Jews. There are too many of us for me to speak to them.
And we mentioned this before. Now, mind you, he said this in 1994, right? And he's talking about how much money the European Jews gets in terms of setting up Israel, their lobbies, all this kind of stuff, right? We also mentioned that it is not appropriate for black folk to take a neutral stance on the position of Palestine, right? Because of, and mind you, those Black folk who are taking a neutral stand, they already understand, they know very well that the Palestinians are being oppressed. They understand that. But most of these people, like your Dr. Omar Johnsons and your Tariq Nasheeds, and I'm not really a fan of either of them, except for perhaps the rhetoric of Dr. Omar Johnson. His rhetoric, I like his rhetoric, but in terms of his what he does, not a big fan, right? But anyways, they are strong proponents of reparations. Here, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, he's mentioning reparations, and he's tying it in with the reparations of the Jewish people, right? Every single bomb, those $1 million bombs with $1 billion infrastructure, armaments, whatever, that goes off in Palestine, all these soldiers trained, it cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars to train one soldier, to equip them. There's your reparations money. There's your reparations money. How are you taking a neutral position on this? It's not making sense. Furthermore, you see, these Zionists, the Zionist community, they're very slick. Okay? They're very tricky and slick. They try to convince you that they are friends of the black community because the two of them that got killed in the civil rights movement. That's how they are. Meanwhile, what they hide from you is their heavy involvement in the slave trade. So much so that the stock market, what we now know as stock market, was invented because of the slave trade. And insurance companies were invented because of the slave trade. And who were the ones running these insurance companies and these stock markets? It was Jewish people. It was Jewish people. The very same ones who are trying to be your allies. Who is running the hip hop industry today, which is telling your children to go kill a nigga, to go, do whatever you want with these hoes and all the kind of stuff? Who's running that hip hop industry? Thank you, Sister Tika. It's the Jews. It's the Jews, the very same Jews, right? Who are the ones that are trying to censor? Can you imagine trying to censor athletes who aren't even saying anything? They didn't say anything. Who were the ones that tried to censor and punish Kyrie Irving for sharing a tweet with regards to the Hebrew Israelites? All he did was share a tweet. And then Nike came in support and allyship with the censorship of Kyrie Irving. Who did that? The Jews. Am I anti-Semitic for saying these things now? Am I being anti-Semite? So it's not appropriate for black folk to take a neutral position on Palestine. It's not appropriate. If you don't want to protest, it's fine. You don't have to protest. If you don't want to share a tweet or an Instagram, whatever, because you don't want to lose your job over some folk you that don't know you, that's fine. I get that. I understand that. But to say I'm not on this side or not on that side, that's not appropriate at all. Particularly if you're one of these folks who are talking about reparations. This was way back then. Watch your reparations money in the rubble in Palestine. That's your reparations right there. Let's keep going, y'all.
You don't want to take any time to make any particular
We've given
statement.
all the time we've been in America. Now it's time we do something for ourselves. We are the same people, Phil, that when you beat us and rearrange our eyeballs in the socket and rearrange our face and beat us and stomp us before the world, we're the same people that get up because God just made us with tender and sensitive hearts as his chosen people and say, well, can't we just get along together?
The United States House of Representatives.
That's a reference to, if y'all don't know, that's a reference to Rodney King. Can we all just get along? In 1992, Rodney King was beaten near to death on camera. Okay, go look it up if y'all don't know, if you're too young to know. Okay, it was caught on camera. This is like one of the first original, you could say, viral police brutality videos, right? Because no internet at that time. Somebody was recording with their camcorder. They caught the whole thing on tape. That thing shocked the world because black folk had been complaining about police brutality for decades, and everybody said that we were just lying and exaggerating and making it up, and no, it can't be that bad. But anybody who watched that video saw how bad it actually was. And nobody could deny it anymore. Rodney King. Okay? Look him up. Rodney King. The Rodney King beatdown. Then the thing went to trial. And if you've seen what these devils did in the trial, okay? Here come the cops. They're saying that, oh, Rodney King, he was high on PPC and he was high on cocaine and blah, 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 blah. And we ordered him to get down and he wouldn't get down. He kept getting up and we were threatened. Anybody who watched that video could see very clearly Rodney King was not a threat. So, of course, the cops got off scot-free, and America rightfully, and I'm going to say it one more again, rightfully went on fire because of that not guilty verdict. Riots happened everywhere, including Toronto, okay? Riots happened, rightfully so. There is no peace without justice. Everybody watching the same video and everybody scratching their heads wondering how these cops got off. So what did these evil demons do? Okay? They went and they got Rodney King, the same person that had his eye sockets beaten out, hospitalized on camera, humiliated on camera. Go look that video up if you don't know. He went on national television. They asked him to do it because America was on fire. And there was no end in sight. So they asked him to go on TV to try to end the riots. The same victim, okay, of this police brutality. First viral video you can say of police brutality. The very first one, right? And what did he say on TV? He said, can't we all just get along? That's what he's referring to right now. Can't we all just get along? Let's hear it one more again.
Change our eyeballs in the socket and rearrange our face and beat us and stomp us before the world. We're the same people that get up because God just made us with tender and sensitive hearts as his chosen people and say, well, can't we just get along?
Be united. The United States House of Representatives, in an unprecedented action. I don't know whether there's a precedent for the U.S. House to take its time to debate and vote on the condemnation of a private citizen, but it has done that. 435 members of the House of Representatives debating the condemnation of Mr. Muhammad. Here are two members of the House on opposing sides, calling for the...
Yeah, for y'all who don't know, Khalid Muhammad was the first person to be condemned by Congress. They ain't never condemned no KKK, no Grand Wizard, no George Bush, Donald Rumsfeld, none of that. And these war criminals, they ain't condemned no Henry Kissinger. Who did they condemn? Dr. Khalid Muhammad. See, this is why I don't want to hear anybody talking to me about who we can and who we can't listen to, who we can and who we can't, make dawah to. All these bones and biscuits and sellouts and coons and shines and whatnot, right? We ain't paying attention to them. We seen your work, or the lack of it rather, and how it and what you do to play defense for the enemy. The significance of the Rodney King verdict is a precursor to the Derek Chauvin verdict. The reason why Derek Chauvin was charged for the murder of George Floyd was not because it was on video, or not because he murdered George Floyd, rather, right? Because a hell of a lot of black folk have been murdered by cops. Lots of black people were murdered by cops. Many. Some on video. But the reason why he got his 23-year rinky-dink sentence was because they remember what happened to Rodney King. The riots started boiling up and becoming international. And because of the brutality of the murder of George Floyd, and caught on video, that is why he got a guilty verdict. They wasn't fitting to give no cop no guilty verdict for murdering a nigga. Make no mistake about that. Cops don't go to jail for murdering black people, okay? That's not a thing. It only happens because of political pressure. And now here you are asking us, why are we giving up the fight for unity with y'all? Like, are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me right now? We know who our enemies is. We ain't sugarcoating it no more. You made it very clear who you are to us. We didn't ask for this fight. We didn't even recognize we were at war until we ended up over here somewhere. Now we speak in your language. And now we have to deal with all your nonsense that you do in the black community. Right? So let's go back to Dr. Khalid Muhammad gets condemned by Congress.
Censoring of Mr. Muhammad is Congressman Lantos, followed by Congressman Abercrombie, who makes a statement in behalf of free speech. Watch this, House of Representatives.
On November 29, 1993, at Keene College in New Jersey, Mr. Khalid Muhammad, a senior representative of the Nation of Islam, delivered an outrageous and violent attack on the principles of racial, religious, and ethnic intolerance. His attempt to incite violence by preaching bigotry and hatred must be swiftly and forcefully condemned by this body.
Governmental sanction against any speech, objectionable as it may be, is always suspect. The Constitution has proven to be our strongest safeguard against the Mohammeds of the world. Let us respect and revere the Constitution of the United States and vote down this resolution.
Congressman Abercrombie's position did not carry. The final vote by the House of Representatives on the matter of condemning Mr. Muhammad was 361 yea, 34 nay. You have, sir, been condemned by the United States House of Representatives. I assume you are flattered by that action.
Family, who else has recently been condemned and censored by this very same U.S. Congress? Somebody put it in the chat, please. Just to show you how devilish these people are. Can you imagine they're accusing Dr. Khalid Muhammad of racial hatred and inciting? They're accusing him of racial hatred and inciting violence. Meanwhile, just 2 years previous, the very police that you pay with taxpayers' money beat a man near to death on video and caused riots in your country. But none of them condemned. Who recently has been condemned by Congress, the very same Congress that condemned and censored Khalid Muhammad? The first person to get censored. Y'all know who it is? Put it in the chat, please. I need somebody to put it in the chat.
I believe that my ancestors, I believe that the blood that cries out from the grave of my ancestors who went to an untimely death at the hands of the white wicked slave traders, I believe that they cry out. Their spirit is around me, and their spirit emanates from me. And I believe that as a righteous man of God, but as a freedom fighter and a revolutionary, it is one of the greatest honors that could be paid.
And we'll be back in just a moment. That's true.
To be a part of the audience, please send a postcard for free tickets to Donahue Tickets, care of NBC, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, 10112. Remember, postcards only, please. Be sure to include your phone number with area code.
Yes. So now it's coming to the Q&A part. I'm not sure if we're going to watch. Y'all want to see the Q&A part? No, it's not Mark Lamont Hill. It's Rashida Tlaib. Rashida Tlaib, for not even saying anything, just for being Palestinian and being vocal against the genocide that's going on in Palestine. The U.S. Congress censored her. That's right. Rashida Tlaib. So that should be seen, it should seriously be seen as a badge of honor. Let's get a little bit through the Q&A session, and then we'll see what we can do afterwards.
I have one question for the white audience that's watching this. A lot of times they ask, what can they do to help this situation? And I feel that they should go over to their people and represent this issue the same way this brother puts his life on the line for us. They should be doing the same thing, because otherwise it's going to be a one-sided view. They need to reach their people as well.
Yes.
What I'd like to know is, what do they say to the KKK, the skinheads, the Nazis?
All white folks support the KKK.
Well, enough of them do.
Yes. Yeah.
Nobody says anything about, nobody disputes the facts or his facts. His facts are right and exact, and no scholar will debate Dr. Khalid, because Dr. Khalid is right.
I'm going to answer that lady's question. Half of the...
Let's go to the third part. Let's go to the Q&A part. 1 second, y'all. And I just really wanted to get to the beginning because that was like the part that was most relevant. But now since we're already almost at the end anyways, might as well write it out, right? 1 second, y'all.
Yeah. My population does not support KKK, but this gentleman up here. Yeah.
Yes, my thing is, if what he's saying is not true, let's bring somebody forward to prove him to be a liar.
Muhammad, can you please tell me why it's blacks who are killed in Rwanda and other places? And can you please tell?
Okay, just listen to this man's question, right? And listen to how Khalid Muhammad answers. I know the quality is a little bit shoddy now, but let's see if we can get through this.
Tell me why from Haiti, blacks from Haiti are just risking their lives to come here to the United States of America.
I'll tell you if I get a chance. Black people have been robbed, as I said earlier, of a knowledge of self. And when you rob people, sir, of a knowledge of self, then it means that they start to take on the characteristics and the nature of their oppressor and their colonizer. And his mind, by automatic, systematic, remote control, rules in our people. He gives them the guns and the weapons and the drugs and the alcohol, the way you did our brothers, the red man and the red woman, brothers and sisters, the way you did our Latino brothers and sisters, and then you pit one against the other and then say, look at what these people are doing.
One second, y'all. Okay, let's get back to it. 1 second.
Yes. Adolf Hitler perpetrated the Holocaust.
May I have your attention, please?
Adolf Hitler perpetrated the Holocaust on 11 million people that died, 6 million of which were Jews, 5 million were others. Am I to understand that you would very much support his way of doing things, and him for that matter?
Sir, this is not reverse racism nor discrimination that you could tie into your statement on Hitler. If the slave master is whipping the slave and blood is running down the slave's back, and that's incidentally where the term cracker comes from the cracker man who had the crack of the whip on the slave's back. But if the slave takes the slave...
Yeah, I'm glad he mentioned that point. Well, the word cracker, that's where it comes from, right? And up until this very day, those people who these whip makers, these people who make the bull whip, go to the names of their companies. Just search up any bullwhip company. Look how many times they're calling themselves cracker. They call themselves because they know what it is. If y'all don't know what it is, y'all need to sit down and be quiet, okay? Let's keep going, y'all.
Slave master's whip from him and starts whipping the slave master with his own whip. That is not reverse racism. That is not reverse discrimination. That is the slave getting out from under the yoke of bondage and oppression. I don't advocate what Hitler has done before the world. Hitler's struggle. I went to the Holocaust Memorial Museum and I tried to separate Hitler as a freak of nature from the rest of white people. But after all that we have gone through, I know that there's a little bit of Hitler in all white people and a lot of Hitler in...
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Sir, you wanted to say? Yes, to the Jewish brother up there. Well, not brother, but the Jewish man. What about Goldstein, who slaughtered 39 Palestinians and became a Jewish hero? Publicly, rabbis said what about the fingernails, Dr. Colin?
Said that the rabbis said that the fingernail of one Jew was worth more than all of the Arabs in the world. And the New York Times ran the lead story with the photo showing the Jews filing past his grave.
Yes.
They not only called him a hero, but a saint.
I can't remember the year, but man, maybe somebody can remind me of this, of when it happened. But this Jewish person murdered, I think, 30 Palestinians in a mosque and whatnot. And then the rabbi, he said that the fingernail, all these Palestinians don't even make up the fingernail of a single Jew or something like that, right? The Palestinians who died, they're not even worth the fingernail, the dirt underneath the fingernail of a Jew. Now, even on YouTube, you have Jewish rabbis openly calling for genocide against the Palestinians on YouTube itself. Meanwhile, at the same time, Congress has decided that if you are anti-Zionist, you are anti-Semitic. Did the people decide that? Did the whatchamacallit, the religious Jewish brass decide that? No, who decided it? Congress. And who is getting censored? Not the rabbis that are calling for genocide, not the rabbis that said, these type of things. Not the Ku Klux Klan members in Congress as we speak, or the Ku Klux Klan judges. Who's getting censored? Colin Muhammad, and then now Rashida Tlaib. Okay? It's a joke. It's a big joke. Anyways, let's keep watching, y'all.
May I make this point, Mr. Muhammad? The atrocity perpetrated by Goldstein was roundly and publicly condemned by the entire leadership of the Jewish community in America, as well as the leaders of the state of Israel.
Let me ask you this.
They publicly condemned that action, and I can't even get you to look into the camera and convey even the remotest notion that you have in your heart some love for two Jews who died trying to save.
You see what this man is trying to do? What kind of weak sauce was that, bro? That's Phil Donahue for you, man. Anyways, let's keep watching, y'all.
Black people in the South. I speak of
you cannot get me to look into the camera and do that.
Yeah. May I ask you to kindly speak to that?
You cannot get me to look into the camera and show love for two Jews. I don't even know them. I live with this pain and suffering every day among my own people. Look at our babies. They're in the Oakland, in the Bay Area. They're watching Schindler's List. You have your Schindler's List, but for us, it's been a swindler's list because someone is attempting to steal our birthright. They stopped the movie. Take our babies out of the movie as though it's such a moral outrage. And then Spielberg comes in. The governor comes in. What about the statements of the Jew, Howard Stern, the comedian, Jackie Mason? What about Moshe Dayan? What about the fact that members of the Senate have made racist comments and Congress, and they were voting against me, but they were not brought up by their own colleagues in that so-called august body?
Yes.
Hello. What I'd like to point out is, just as you said that you can't judge all black people by one person, you can't judge white people by just Hitler. What you have to realize is that we're in a diverse nation, which is America, and we have a lot to learn from everybody in this room. I feel I do, from all black people, all white people, and anyone else who happens to be in this room with me. America's the first.
Briefly, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Muhammad, could you please tell me, does Islam believe in Judaism and Christianity? And under Islam, are Jews and Christians are people of the book? Do you believe that? And further, do you believe, sir, that one people and one book sent by the same one God? And you referred to the people up front that they are your brothers. Is it possible, Muhammad, Mr. Muhammad, that I am your brother also? And is it also possible that we are brothers truly responsible for each other? Is that possible?
The Holy Quran says, that the messenger of God believes in what has been revealed, and so do the believers. And I am a believer. In Islam, we believe in one God whose personal and proper name is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that one God, we believe, sent all the prophets and the great ones in the great line of divine, and we believe in all of the revealed scriptures. I don't know you, sir. I could feel that if you were attempting to live according to the law of God, then you might be my brother in the faith, but not my brother by nature. That's
right. Mr. Muhammad, are you aware, Mr. Muhammad, that the courts-martial system on or about or in or about World War II condemned many black sailors for their involvement in handling munitions, where many of them died as a result of their handling these munitions? Would you believe, Mr. Muhammad, that the Jewish war veterans that I'm proud to represent took this issue on, and we have condemned the United States Navy as it relates to the deaths of these sailors, and we have condemned them for their continuance dishonorable discharge of these black sailors? I ask you, Mr. Muhammad, what have you done on this specific issue?
Well, it's kind of difficult to believe you on anything, but I would say this, that I do know that during that same war, that America was, as is today, so racist until the German officers, when they were captured, could eat in the same mess hall and have the same accommodations as the white American officers. But the black troops were segregated, couldn't come into that mess hall unless they were scrubbing the floors and washing dishes. So it was a white man honoring another white man, though one was American and one was German, and they were supposed to be enemies. There was still a tie that was able to bind the two together.
And nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. Donald Trump right now is going through all these court proceedings. He has essentially, he himself has pretty much destroyed democracy in America. He undermined it to the point where people don't even want it anymore. They're talking about, whatchamacallit, the voting fraud and all this kind of stuff. They are working very vigorously in the southern states to make sure that black people cannot vote through gerrymandering, through changing laws, all because of Donald Trump. Okay? They did all of this. And even with all of his court proceedings and him breaking whatever the judges are telling him, commanding him to do, not to talk about the judges, employees and stuff like that, doxing people, all this craziness he's doing, he's still not in jail. He's still not in jail. Not even censored, okay, in Congress. Not even censored. And after all that, people will still be allowed to write his name on the ballot for a democracy which he's pretty much destroyed. And meanwhile, black folk can't get no reparations. Right? Nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. Let's keep on. Let's ride this to the end. Let's keep going, y'all.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any more. That's it. That's it, y'all.
Yes. Yes. You want to show that? What is that? Is that a...
Yeah, that's it.
It's a black man being burned alive with an audience like this cheering and applauding and tiptoeing to get in the picture.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, there's plenty of pictures. Like they used to call, that's where picnic comes from, right? This is called a picnic. That's where the term comes from. They would do this sort of stuff. Pick a nick, okay? Make a family event out of it. Bring your women. You can see women in the picture. I'm pretty sure there's children here. Right? There's a book called The Delectable Negro, where it has all these types of pictures, right? These brutal pictures and whatnot. And they show how white folks used to eat black people when they went out to these picnics, right? They would take their body parts, have them as souvenirs, all kind of stuff. Right? The Delectable Negro. Maybe somebody could put the link in the chat. Right? But the point is, I wanted to do this Dr. Khalid Muhammad reaction because I was reminded about it. And then I started watching it, and man, this is so relevant for today. It's so relevant. All the stuff he's saying back in 1994, it's applying today. Y'all hear me? And like I said, as you can see, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the weak of heart. But it's just relevant. So, like, subscribe, share. Hit me up on Patreon, family. I will see you guys tomorrow, inshallah. Subhanaka alhamdulillah, shahada la ant, wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.